Hello, my name is Stefano BETTI. I am the Deputy Director General of the Transnational Alliance to Combat Illicit Trade. It's really an honor and a privilege for me to be here, having been invited to this new EMEA conference on illicit trade. This conference is a great opportunity to interact with many experts, counter-illicit trade experts, and it's also a great opportunity for us at TRACIT to present a couple of new reports that we have released and we think are very important and we want to disseminate as much as possible. One report is about the illicit trade vulnerabilities and situation in South Africa. The other one is about Pakistan. There are a number of common features that we see in both countries. For example, in both countries we see macroeconomic figures that are problematic in many respects. We see, for example, in South Africa, very, very high unemployment rates that have been recorded over the past few years. South Africa is one of the countries with the highest unemployment rate in the world, which is almost constantly around 30%. In Pakistan, the shadow economy amounts to approximately 40% of national GDP. Both countries have very, very high inflationary pressures. All of these creates a situation where consumers' purchasing power is increasingly low, and when the public and when the people cannot buy legitimate stuff, they naturally and inevitably turn to the black market. And this ensures that the organized criminal groups behind these black markets prosper. There are also situations whereby, for example, in South Africa, during the COVID-19 pandemic, temporary bans for the sale of alcohol and tobacco were imposed. One might think that after the end of the pandemic, the situation will go back to normal, but the situation has not gone back to normal. And as a matter of fact, we have recorded sustained and even increased levels of, for example, illicit alcohol and illicit cigarettes in South Africa. And this is because once an illicit market has been established in a country because of the bans on alcohol and tobacco in this specific case, then those black and illegal markets tend to remain where they are. They tend to become entrenched in the economic landscape of a country. Okay. Governments can do a lot to change the situation. We have evidence, for example, that a lot of political interest has come from the Pakistani government. Let's not forget that Pakistan was listed by the Financial Action Task Force within the grey list of countries, which are the countries that are subject to increased monitoring for deficiencies identified in their money laundering and terrorist financing legal framework. Well, Pakistan did a lot over the past few years. It put together a number of ministries, a lot of political willingness, and they managed to address the situation with the result that recently Pakistan has been delisted by the FATF. So this means that there is really political willingness to do something, and this good example, for example, of the FATF delisting can be used to proceed and to continue on the path of developing new projects and new action plans that ensure that illicit trade is tackled. And that can, for example, come from the setting up of an illicit trade, an anti-illicit trade coordinator at the governmental level, not only in Pakistan, but also in South Africa. This is an entity that should have a critical role in terms of coordinating the activities, the mandates, and the roles of many national agencies that in one way or another are concerned with illicit trade, they deal with illicit trade, but that very often, unfortunately, work in silos. So an anti-illicit trade coordinator is expected to put these entities together, to make sense out of them, to create a unity of purpose, and to ensure that the problem is really handled more effectively. On the other hand, I see a difficult situation also in terms of the fact that, for example, South Africa has just been listed, has just been included by the FATF among the countries that are subject under increased monitoring. So there is a steep way ahead for South Africa now. Pakistan has been delisted, but South Africa now is in, and that requires a lot of political effort, a lot of coordination within the government to produce an action plan to ensure that the 8 deficiencies that have been highlighted will be rectified. In both countries, we have a situation where legal frameworks are generally in place. This is recognized by the international community, but there is a significant gap in the enforcement and the implementation of these legal frameworks. And so also something has clearly to be done about this. More resources have to be assigned, for example, to customs agencies, but also more expertise. In South Africa, there are clearly signs that a national prosecuting authority does not have enough staffing and enough also expertise to carry out its mandate. And by the way, this is also a reason why we at TRACIT are doing whatever is possible to cooperate with Business for Africa, which is an industry platform in South Africa that has just signed a partnership agreement with the government. And in this partnership agreement, the areas of crime and corruption have emerged as areas of priority intervention. And what's even more important is that there has been a commitment on the part of the private sector to provide its expertise and resources to further empower the National Prosecuting Authority, particularly its investigative department. So we really see a concrete interest and concrete steps taken by the private sector collectively through its platforms to address the situations and to come to the rescue of the government. And that really highlights also the need for increased public-private partnerships to address the phenomenon.